Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And remember to turn your microphones on and turn your cell phones off. We'll have roll call.
Mayor Schoenberger.
Here.
Councilor Anderson.
Here.
Councilor Bain.
Here.
Councilor Becker.
Here.
Councilor Dykes.
Here.
Councilor Quinlan.
Here.
Everyone has a copy of the minutes of the meeting of October 12th. Are there any corrections? Hearing none, they stand approved as submitted. Visitors and delegations. Is there anyone who is not on the agenda who would like to speak? If so, now is your time. Moving on to management. The final settlement with the Buildings by Design. Joanne.
Yes, before you this evening, we had ran in the paper 2 times the final settlement for Buildings by Design. They actually completed the Watchers Park restroom project, and so they are ready to finish that up. They're complete, and we need to do final settlement. But because of the size of the project, we've ran a notice in the paper, and we are requesting that council approve final settlement, final payment to Buildings by Designs.
Is there a motion to approve the final settlement?
I make a motion that we approve the final settlement by Building by Design for Watchers Park. Second.
Second. Motion second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll have a roll call vote.
Mayor Schoenberger.
Yes.
Councilor Anderson.
Yes.
Councilor Bain.
Yes.
Councilor Becker.
Yes.
Councilor Dykes.
Yes.
Councilor Quinlan.
Yes.
Moving on to golf course, restaurant, and bar staffing. That's Lance.
Yeah, over the last month, we had put a ad in the paper trying to solicit those interested in running the restaurant and bar area at the Brush Municipal Golf Course. And during that time, we got 5 people that responded. So we interviewed all 5 people to hear what their idea was going to be as far as the restaurant and bar area, and asked them if they would be interested in leasing the facility, or if they'd want to be an employee, or how that would work. All of them have an interest in leasing the facility. However, none of them felt comfortable enough to do it right off the bat, since there is no prior history with the facility. So we are looking for having the ability to, whoever we choose, to go in there and as a contract employee, and then after 7 months of running it in that fashion, being able to then put a lease together, which would give us an opportunity of seeing what kind of money comes into the place and goes out of the place, and then we could be able to set up more of a lease of agreement that's more fair. And the contract would be for 9 months, but after the 7th month, we would sit down with that person, if that's the person we want to continue to go with, and hopefully get a lease agreement in the next in month 9. So we're looking for council's approval as far as going in that route. And if there's any sort of questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them.
So Lance, the intent is still next summer to put it out so that it could be leased out, the facility.
Yes.
And that way it would get the city's name off the liquor license.
Yes.
Okay, because that's
Yes.
one of the things important to mention to council, because that was the direction you guys gave a while back. And we're hoping to have that done a little sooner, but it's not working out that
Right.
way.
And we
So-
do have the liquor license in. We do have it until it's up for renewal until August. So the time frame works out really well. And so after month 7, that'll also give us some down months, as far as winter months at the golf course. Plus, it's also going to give us 2 months of during the golf season. So whoever does run the facility will have some really good numbers on what to expect. So that's kind of the reasoning for us doing it this way.
And Lance, the other thing was, this would be, when we talk about the council approving staffing, we'd be looking at 1 chef and 3, 4, 5.
Yeah, yeah.
work some staff.
Whoever we choose we will discuss actual numbers, but we're looking at probably a dishwasher, and depending on the type of, if we have a large event, we might need 2 waitresses on the floor. If not, we just 1 waitress, prep cook. I mean, we're looking at, we'll have to judge it week by week, event by event. If we have a party of 75 people, we're going to have to bring in a couple extra waitresses and stuff to handle something like that. But on day-to-day, we'll probably be doing 1 wait staff, a bar lady, and then the cook. So, and and just so council knows, we're still learning. I mean, this is brand new. This is a brand new venture, and so we're learning. And I'm sure there will be a mistake made here and there, but we plan on learning from them, and hopefully not making the same mistakes twice. So.
I'm just curious, what kind of menus were offered to you by the applicants?
There was all sorts, a lot of them. There were some salads. The one thing that we have discussed with all the people that we interviewed is that the city of Brush is trying to move towards a healthy way. So we want to make sure we have a healthy part of the menu. But they range from, there was some fish, there was different kinds of soups. Clear across the board. I mean, there was there was Mexican food, there was pizza. I mean, you name it, there was, it was all over. And a lot of them are their menu could change depending on what kind of clientele and what they're looking for, just by meeting the people that come out there and stuff. So.
Okay, good.
All right. Is there a motion to authorize the staff to hire?
I'll make a motion that we authorize staff to hire and operate and manage the golf course, restaurant, and bar.
Second?
Second.
Second. Further discussion? And roll call vote.
Counselor Bain,
Yes.
Counselor Becker,
Yes.
Counselor Dykes,
Yes.
Counselor Quinlan,
Yes.
Mayor Schomberger,
Yes.
Counselor Anderson.
Yes.
Moving on to number C, that's been added in, the update on the fire department building.
Quick update, last week we did meet with 2 representatives from the rule board, and they give us the verbal indication that they weren't going to be able to participate at this time on the fire department building. However, since then, we've had a meeting with one of the board members talking about some other options that we may have. And so that board member was going to visit with the rural fire district and see if there still is a possibility of some type of partnership. So we're waiting to hear back from them. They're going to, he was going to request a special meeting so that they can expedite and let us know, because the application timeline, it's getting into a little bit of a crunch time, so we do need to know if the IGA is going to move forward or not. That meeting this morning was pretty positive, so we'll see where that goes.
Monty, I think when we're talking about this, council really hasn't had an opportunity to hold executive session and talk about the different options that are out there and cost sharing. And I think it's time, in light of that letter that we received today, I think that we need to get into executive session and discuss the ideas for cost sharing on the project to move forward, because, it did look like the letter I got today that they're out. And I think it's too important of a project to be done with. So I think we need to, just similar to what we did with executive session when we looked at purchasing the English property, I think council needs to get together and look at the proposals and see what they are, because I don't think we know what they are. So we need to get an executive session and to determine how we want to proceed from here.
Yeah, that letter was before Monty had the meeting with them today too, so things have shifted a lot since that letter. So,
But we don't know.
Yeah, but I agree, we don't have that, but
But I think the rest of council, we need to know what the ideas being bounced around are, and the only way we're going to be able to do that is an executive session.
Well, you do have the ability tonight, I believe, to, if you choose to go in executive session, because it is a management item, you can choose to.
Right,
if you'd like
that's
to.
the other question. I know we've got a full agenda tonight, but I'd like to make a motion that we go into executive session. But I don't, with how big this agenda is, I know we're doing capital projects tonight, but if we don't do it tonight, I'd like to do it soon.
is there enough, do we have enough discussion right now, or should we wait till we connect with them again?
I think we hear back from them if they're gonna do a special meeting and look at these
Yeah.
other options that were put out there.
And as soon as we hear from them, then we need to do something.
Okay.
But, yeah. All right, moving on to finance.
Finance. I make a motion to approve disbursements and payroll from October 12th through 26th, totaling $190,461.23.
Second?
Any discussion? And roll call vote.
Counselor Becker,
Yes.
Counselor Dykes,
Yes.
Counselor Quinlan,
Yes.
Mayor Schomburger,
Yes.
Counselor Anderson,
Yes.
Counselor Bain.
Yes.
The next item is going to be real quick. Presentation of capital improvement requests. Who starts with this? Who goes?
Okay, I just have a couple updates to your packet. After this was sent out to you folks, we actually realized that last year in the this year in the 2015 budget, we had the digital marquee budgeted. That did not transpire in 2015. It was for $50,000, and we were looking at some other outlets, some other organizations in the community to possibly help with that. And so this is one that's not in your packet, but will be moved forward into 2016, and it is underneath the Community Enhancement Fund. And that money basically has been designated in 2015. We're just moving it forward to 2016 to hopefully finish that project. The other small item was on the brush promo video that Tyler's going to talk about. The price is actually $20,000 rather than $5,000, and he'll discuss that more in detail. We'll start out this evening. The items are all numbered at the upper right-hand corner, and Mark will start out with his police department.
Okay.
I'll make mine real fast. I just have one. What the police department is asking for is 2 vehicles next year, and we're asking for $80,000. Seems like a lot for 2 vehicles, but you have to realize that's all the equipment and everything that goes in them. Lights, screens, gun racks, radars, anything like that. One of the vehicles will be a patrol car, and the other one would be replacing one of our unmarked vehicles, and my unmarked vehicle would then go to investigations, and we would be replacing the Blazer that I believe has over 90,000 miles on it.
Moving on to Karen.
I have, I believe, 9 items this evening to address with you. The first one is was requested last year, and that relates to the HVAC unit in this particular room. This unit dates from the mid-1980s, and we just replaced a similar one in the police department in 2014 when it failed. And so still want to keep this on your horizon, that there is a strong possibility that could fail, and we'll be replacing it in an emergency situation, or you can possibly consider replacing it under more controlled circumstances. The next item was also from this past year, relates to City Hall drainage improvements. This was specifically rerouting of some of the drainage below ground out by our rear employee entrance, and then constructing some additional shelters over entries to the police department. Been in touch with Dale Colrick, who was taking the lead on this since we got funding authorized for this year, and looking at having RG do some of that engineering this year yet, and then construction of next year. So that's a rollover item. The next one is new, and this is a request for 5.
It's the carpet, isn't it?
I'm sorry, I was just doing a double take on the price. Yes, is a recreation office carpet installation. Currently, there's a wood floor in that office, and the sound is really quite live in there. And then, of course, maintenance on a wood floor. Actually, it pretty much needs to be resealed at this point, and it gets a lot of wear and tear. So the proposal is to replace it with a commercial grade carpet similar to what's in the police department and in the front offices of City Hall. This is a product that does extremely well in high traffic areas, and it comes with a 25-year wear and stain warranty. There was a question about whether or not That product could be installed directly on that existing wood floor, and whether or not we would need to do some other type of underlayment. And I don't have an answer to that, but we would certainly address that as part of the installation. And there's the potential for additional cost if an additional underlayment is required. The next item is a request to do the next phase study for the quiet zone. The original quiet zone study was for Hospital Road crossing as well as Clayton Street. Clayton Street's currently under construction. And this would be the next two crossings we would like to at least get a study done for, and that is the tracks on Edison Street over on the east side of town, and then also County Road 26, which is about a mile east of Hospital Road. And then included in this would be a reevaluation of the Hospital Road crossing, considering possibly its closure. That would be done with public involvement and just an overall evaluation in terms of the feasibility of that in comparison to County Road 26. And the dollar figure for that was $12,000. The next item is an access easement to the north side of the runway out at our airport. We, not too long ago, did an airport layout plan which identified how we wanted that facility to grow and develop. And it calls for all of future landside development to occur on the north side of that runway. And you really cannot run a road around the perimeter of that runway from the south side. So we would need to come in from that north side. And since our property does not touch Highway 6, we would need to obtain an easement from an adjacent property owner. The estimate is for $5,500, and this would be for a 270-foot long easement and then also 60-foot wide, which I know seems quite large, but it would certainly take care of anything we might need in terms of 2 lanes of travel and or utilities in from that direction. The next item relates also to the airport, specifically to remodel the restrooms out in the city-owned hangar. And the estimate for this is $10,000. This would include both restrooms and the little kitchenette. This area was severely damaged this past winter by a water leak, and those facilities are non-existent at this point, all the way down to the studs. So the good news is we don't have a mold issue. The bad news is we have no infrastructure out there. So we need to get that put back into place. And then this would also include a combination lock on that front door, since there is interest in using this area as a pilot lounge at some point in the future. The next item comes from the Golf Course Fund, and I've been working with Lance with regard to this item. He requested quotes to replace carpeting in the clubhouse out at the golf course. So the estimate came in at roughly $10,000, and this would take care of everything on that upper level, specifically the bar, the entryway, the ballroom, and then the stairs. And that would also be a product similar to what we put in the police department and city hall, so definitely a good quality, commercial grade, high traffic carpeting. The next item we've been allocating funding for the past several years, and this is in anticipation of redoing the airport runway. Working with CDOT Aeronautics, they had originally estimated that we would be doing this project in 2017, and we've been putting aside roughly $25,000 a year so that we would have our match available for grants related to that project. Unfortunately, CDOT has run into some financial issues of their own, and this project has now been bumped out to the year 2030. There is the possibility it could come up sooner than that. So the request here is to keep accruing that match over the next several years so that when funding does become available, we are ready to go on this project. Last item is from the water and wastewater funds, and that is to do a redevelopment master plan for the English property. The city acquired this 147-acre feedlot, old feedlot, in March of 2014, and we've been working with some other companies to basically leverage their need for land to get some of that cleaned up. But we do need to really start taking steps to evaluate how we want to use this in the future and redevelop it. It's in a prime location that, if it was fully developed into commercial and industrial properties, could generate considerable sales tax revenue, as well as be a significant employment center for our area. And so hopefully we would be able to get some grant money from DOLA on this particular project. and anticipating a 50-50 match, requesting $25,000 from city funds and then 25 from Department of Local Affairs. So those are my items.
Thank you. And I got to mention, is there questions or anything? Just jump up on those. So if not any, then we'll move on to Tyler.
All right, thank you, Mayor. Just one for myself as well. As Joanne mentioned earlier, the brush promo video, initially we put $5,000 down, but we jumped it up to 20 just to ensure that the costs are covered. We do hope to partner with some different entities in the community to do a cost share on this video, and basically a promotion video for different aspects of brush, and depending on who's involved with it, include them in their portion in the video as well. So in a sense, have kind of a intro to brush, and then depending on exactly what the video is for that specific item, have a end that you can just kind of patch onto it. One for example, the hospital, one for example, properties in town and so forth. And we hope to start doing that when the weather, of course, gets warm and everything is green and beautiful outside. So,
Lance, you're next.
All right. You know, before I go on, a lot of them do for next year. Next one is a utility vehicle for the Parks and Cemetery. You know, these are the utility vehicles that we have. We have 2 or 3 of them, but to be honest with you, you can't have enough of them. I mean, they're very, very useful to our crews. They save a lot of time. You're able to put the tools in. You're going to be able to drive right to the job site. Where a pickup, you know, you have to take the stuff there, then you'll have to walk it clear across the park or whatever. The utility vehicles are very useful, probably more useful than pickups within the Parks and Cemetery. So it's something that the Parks and Cemetery would like to use. I think it'd be allow us to become more efficient, and we're hoping to get a utility vehicle.
It'll show the dollar figures requested, and then you'll see administratively where I start taking out some of the items, and then you'll see the ones that I will present to you at the budget retreat, and I'll show these are the ones I think that we could afford. The council always has the choice to change those how you determine, but Joanne's job, my job is to make sure we have a balanced budget and we don't get ourselves into a financial bind 2, 3, 4 years down the road. So that's the next step, and the meeting date is the 9th, is that right? 9th of November for our budget retreat, so just keep that in mind. Very important evening.
Right. Thank you. Moving on to staff reports, starting with finance. Joanne.
That was actually my one item this evening, was to remind council that the next council meeting on November 9th, after we get through with the council meeting, we will be doing our budget retreat.
All right. Thank you. Moving on to police, and Mark.
Just want to remind.
Thank you.
That's all I have.
Thanks. That kind of covers what I was going to bring up, is setting a tentative time and figuring out dates for that. So, any other council reports, council concerns? Hearing none, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Second. We're adjourned.